Okay, so today's lesson is 5.1 notes. It's on ratios. So the definition of ratio is a comparison of two numbers or two quantities. So when we're comparing, you have to have two things, like boys and girls, or cats and dogs. So you're comparing two things. So ratio can be expressed in three ways. So the first way is by fraction, with the numerator being whatever comes first in the problem. So that is the first way, is fraction. So if I said dogs to cats, you have to, if I said 5 dogs, you would have to write 5 as the numerator. The second way is to have the number, the word 2 in the middle, and then to have the second number, whatever you're comparing. And the third way is to have the semicolon. So those are your three ways of writing a ratio. Majority of the time when we say write a ratio, we're going to have you write the ratio in fractions. But you need to make sure you look at the directions, because sometimes the directions say write the ratio in all three ways. So here's your example. A candy bag contains 3 Starbursts, 6 M&Ms, and 14 gummy bears. Write a ratio in all three forms. So that means you have to write it in the fraction, the word 2, and the colon. So here's your first one. Gummy bears to Starburst. So looking at here, look at how many gummy bears are there. So I'm going to write number 1, the first way is fraction. So I look at how many gummy bears there are. There's 14. Remember, the first one is always your numerator. Second one is always your denominator. So there's 14 gummy bears, so that goes on top. How many Starbursts? So look here, there's 3 Starbursts. That's your denominator. Now look at your fraction. Is it reduced to its lowest terms? Well, 3 is prime, so 3 can't go into 14, so it is reduced to its lowest terms. Do not turn this into a mixed number. Keep it as an improper fraction. The second way is whatever comes first is always the first number that you write, so it's 14. The word 2, and then the 3. Third way, same thing as what you did for number 2. You write 14, but instead of writing the word 2, you have the colon and then the 3. Try number 2 or B on your own, and when you're ready, go ahead and push play. So the first way is fraction, Starburst. How many Starbursts were there? There's 3, so that's your numerator. Your denominator is gummy bears. There's 14. You'll notice it's opposite, or the reciprocal, of number 1, or A. 2 would be 3 to 14, and 3 would be 3 colon 14. Let's try the letter C. M&Ms to Starburst. Well, see, there are 6 M&Ms and 3 Starbursts. Now, is this reduced to its lowest terms? It is not. So you have to divide top and bottom by 3. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, so you are going to use this number here to do the other 2. Always have it in the lowest terms. So the second way to write this would be 2, 2, 1. And the third way is 2 colon 1. Right, so now we have another example. If you have brain, has 2 M&Ms, 8 gummy bears, 1 Reese's Pieces, and 5 Skittles, and Bonzo has 7 M&Ms, 3 gummy bears, 9 Reese's Pieces, and 2 Skittles. So let's look at A. It says, tell whose bag of candy has the greatest ratio of M&Ms to total candy. So here I'm going to write brain. Remember ratio, so you have to write this in ratio, which we said majority of the time we're going to write it in fractions. So look at M&Ms. How many M&Ms does brain have? It has 2, so that's your numerator. It says total candy. So that means that you have to add up this number. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 5 plus 1 is 6, so 10 plus 6 is 16. Now you have to do the same thing for Bonzo. So I'm going to write Bonzo here. So Bonzo, M&M's, has 7. And total amount would be 7 plus 3 is 10, and 9 plus 2 is 11. So 10 plus 11 is 21. And now to figure out which fraction is the greatest, you're going to reduce, or you're going to multiply diagonally. So 21 times 2 is 42. And 16 times 7 is 112. Okay, so now you look. 42 and 112. Well, 112 is greater than 42, so you know that Bonzo has the greatest amount of ratio of M&Ms to total candy. Let's look at the next one. B. Tell whose bag of candy has the greatest ratio of M&Ms to Skittles. So same thing here as we did with A. You're going to write Brain, and you're going to write Bonzo. So go ahead and write the ratio for M&Ms to Skittles for Brain and Bonzo. So Brain, M&Ms has 2, and Skittles has 5. Bonzo, M&Ms has 7, and Skittles has 2. Remember, you're going to multiply diagonally, so 2 times 2 is 4, and 5 times 7 is 35. And 35 is greater than 4, so Bonzo has the greatest ratio. Looking at C. What is the ratio of the number of gummy bears Brain has to the number of gummy bears Bonzo has? So here is just a ratio. How many gummy bears does Brain have? Well, Brain has 8 gummy bears. And how many gummy bears does Bonzo have? Bonzo has 3. So that's one way to write it. Or you could have written it as 8 to 3. Or you could have written it as 8:3. And last one, D. Who has the smallest ratio? So we're looking at the smallest number now. So we write Brain and Bonzo. So go ahead and write the ratio for Brain and Bonzo of Reese's Pieces and Skittles. So Brain should have had 1 Reese's Pieces and 5 Skittles. Bonzo has 9 Reese's Pieces and 2 Skittles. So you cross multiply diagonally, and this is 2. 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, and we're looking for the smallest number. Well, Brain has the smallest number. So that's 2 is smaller than 45.